Something that my late father always instilled in us is that we were supposed to leave a legacy behind us. So even when I was working in manufacturing after my life in Japan, and I came back to practically attempt to utilize my Japanese, I ended up having to learn all kinds of new vocabulary, and I started to build a actual manufacturing dictionary, which I pray to God is still in my storage. You see, I worked on that with two of my Japanese closest and dearest comrades. One, my late spouse. Two, my son helped some. And three, a woman who was one of my students, and she helped because she was friends with my spouse. But whether or not my family and friends understood, I was not making multiple copies of those things for someone else's good. I was preparing to type all of that paperwork in because I earned those sheets from the men who shared them with me. And I had to take all the effort to make the translations so they could be read by someone who was a novice speaker of Japanese. You see, the only way you learn manufacturing Japanese or business level Japanese is to sit and submerge yourself in the environment. It's easy to learn social Japanese and travel Japanese. I know this because I've taught this for 16 sessions in a university environment. Their continuing studies program I worked with IUPUI on. But openly, I was also an administrator for Ivy Tech College, where I made over 120 forms for that local campus in Carmel, across the street from the high school, and down the street from where my family and I lived at the time, in an apartment complex. I literally could walk to work to do that moonlighting job. It was in the early stages of my business, and I worked that part-time job for roughly 5 years and maybe 3 months, if I remember correctly. And I was a night administrator serving the professors, educators, and owners, basically, of that legacy building. But something my late father taught us was to always leave things better. My mother actually insisted on this with us. When we would go places and find it filthy, she would turn to us and say, "Let's go, get to work." And we'd say, "But Mom, we didn't make this mess." She said, "Doesn't matter. We leave a place better than we ever found it." And that was the family motto. Now, our true family motto is Tase Afase, and that means something different. And openly, it's sort of like saying Gambare in Japanese, and if you know what that means, it means make effort. The truth is, in my life, I try to leave a legacy with my students. Most of my young students can truly speak Japanese, unless they're called to do so on prompting from a father or a mother who's not really in their life. And that was hard for those kids at the time, because those parents were not as supportive of the investment that the other parents were making in the time. But every child that left my program, child that is under age 18, was really a part of our Japanese school family. And we called it that in our monthly newsletters. We shared everyone's work in those newsletters. And allegedly, people enjoyed getting them through their emails and enjoyed having them to read what other students were doing, what they were learning about, and what they were sharing about. Our program taught them language and culture.